Okay, time to tie up a good little raft and get across this bloody swamp. Oh, hey guys, welcome back. You know, films weren't always shot in widescreen. Originally, films looked like this, which is a bit of a pain in the ass given these bloody sidebars. But in the 1950s, with the success of Cinerama, Marian C. Cooper's interest in Kong sparked once again. What followed was a little project simply known as the Eighth Wonder. While the plot is unknown at the time, I might as well start with the creation of Cinerama and show how it led to this possible Kong remake. After the success of King Kong and his service in World War II, Cooper continued his career in the film business, more as a showman and a leader of film technology. Heh, kinda sounds familiar. He made one of his last films, She, in 1935, and eventually moved on as a producer for many of John Ford's pictures, including Fort Apache, The Quiet Man, and the John Wayne classic, The Searchers. Wow, this is even sounding more familiar. As a leader in film technology, he helped pave the way for the Technicolor process, the groundbreaking piece that made Gone with the Wind a smash success and has been used for films ever since. But one of the biggest leads in film that he helped pioneer was the process of making films bigger, not just in production value, but in the scope of the motion picture screen. Partnered with Fred Waller and Robert Bendick, the 1952 film This Is Cinerama introduced the world to the process known as widescreen. While the process is nothing new today, back then, it was a lot trickier. To get the massive pictures on the screen, these movies would have to be filmed using 3 separate cameras, then pasted together to create the look of widescreen. This was due to the fact that most film cameras did not have the widescreen lenses at the time. This Is Cinerama thrilled audiences and was a smash success, and immediately, Hollywood looked for films and projects that could utilize the widescreen process. Ideas for it also influenced Cooper, and he wanted to make another massive picture that would thrill audiences much more than Cinerama. Only one thing crossed his mind. Around the same year Cinerama was released, Cooper toyed around and ultimately wanted to remake King Kong using the Cinerama process as well as the Technicolor process to make his original vision greater than ever before. And for good reason too, because King Kong was also re-released in 1952 and became a box office hit once again as it did before. While Cooper did not have a story, it's hard to tell if he wanted it set back in the 1930s or in the present time of the 50s. But one thing was for sure, the cast would have to be new, since most of the original actors from Kong were too old for the part. Some obvious suggestions that could have been great for the roles were Orson Welles as Carl Denham, Ben Johnson from Mighty Joe fame, or Errol Flynn as Jack Driscoll, and probably the most obvious at the time, a newcomer but a massive star to be, Marilyn Monroe as Ann Darrow. Cooper then contacted his old buddy, Willis O'Brien, to talk about how to bring stop-motion animation into the Cinerama frame. When O'Brien heard of Cooper's suggestions to bring Kong back to the screen, he immediately jumped on board and contacted a friend of his to create a camera and optical printer to shoot stop-motion on the Cinerama process. There might have been even talk of his apprentice, Ray Harryhausen, to help with the animation, given his career was taking a bright turn with the amount of B-movies he was working on in the 50s. It seems everything was moving smoothly to where Cooper could start writing a script. But unfortunately, during that time, O'Brien's friend, who was going to create the Cinerama and optical printers for them, passed away, and the project was put on hold. Shortly after, Cooper then left Cinerama, and the Eighth Wonder project died completely. Overall, I think a remake with the Cinerama process would have been really cool, but I don't think it would have had a lasting impact as the original did. So with that said, this concept gets a proper 7 out of 10. While the original King Kong still lived on in several re-releases and eventually television, O'Brien still wanted to find a way to bring him back to the silver screen, and for the next 10 years, he started writing away on a project with another famous monster that he wanted to tackle for years, and we'll talk about that another time. While there wasn't another King Kong movie from the United States for the next 20 years, one country in particular was very much inspired by the original King Kong. So tune in next time when we take a look at the lost King Kong films from Japan. So we'll see you next time.